British filmmakers turn war into art like nobody else. Did you know the UK government nearly banned one of these films for giving away military secrets, even though the Germans already knew everything it showed? From mud-soaked trenches to secret desert campaigns, these British masterpieces redefined how cinema portrays humanity's darkest hours. Let's dive in. Number 15. In Which We Serve, 1942. Noel Coward had absolutely zero filmmaking experience when he co-directed, wrote, composed, and starred in this naval war epic that Winston Churchill personally ordered into production. The film follows HMS Torrin and her crew through the brutal early days of World War II, using flashbacks to show their civilian lives while they cling to a life raft after their destroyer is sunk. What makes this film legendary isn't just its stiff upper-lip patriotism. It's the fact Coward made it while bombs were still falling on London. The production actually got interrupted by air raids, with cast and crew diving into shelters between takes. The ship's sinking was filmed in a massive water tank at Denham Studios, using a 40-foot model that cost a small fortune during wartime rationing. Critics initially found it too propagandistic, but audiences wept openly in theaters. The film became so culturally important that King George VI awarded Coward a special medal for boosting morale. Even Hollywood was impressed, giving this distinctly British film an honorary Oscar. Most shocking to modern viewers? Many scenes used actual combat footage, including sailors dying on camera. Talk about authentic filmmaking. They were documenting the war while fighting it. As one naval veteran said after a screening, "That wasn't a movie. That was Tuesday." Number 14. Ice Cold in Alex, 1958. Two British officers, a nurse, and their mysterious passenger attempt to drive an ambulance across 600 miles of merciless North African desert while being hunted by Rommel's forces. The film's title comes from the ice-cold beer in Alexandria that keeps the alcoholic captain going through his withdrawal-fueled nightmare journey. Director J. Lee Thompson shot in actual Libyan desert locations with temperatures hitting 130 degrees Fahrenheit. The crew buried cameras in sand to protect them, while actors genuinely suffered on screen. John Mills lost 12 pounds during filming and developed severe sunstroke that hospitalized him for 3 days. That final beer-drinking scene? Absolutely real. After weeks in the desert, the exhaustion and relief on Mills's face as he downs that lager isn't acting. It's pure survival. The film was heavily censored in America, losing 50 minutes of footage, including its powerful sexual tension between Mills and Sylvia Sims. European critics hailed it as a masterclass in sustained suspense, while British audiences made it the 7th highest-grossing film of 1958. What truly elevates this film is its shocking twist, revealing the German spy in their midst and the moral choice that follows. Unlike American war films of the era, the enemy is shown with humanity and complexity. The ambulance itself became a character, with the actual vehicle later exhibited at the Imperial War Museum until it finally broke down after 319,000 miles. Number 13. The Cruel Sea, 1953. This unflinching naval drama follows the crew of HMS Compass Rose as they battle not just German U-boats, but also the merciless North Atlantic itself. Based on Nicholas Monserrat's best-selling novel, it shows the psychological toll of convoy duty, where sailors face death by freezing water more often than enemy fire. Jack Hawkins delivers a career-defining performance as Captain Erickson, forced to make a gut-wrenching decision to drop depth charges on survivors in the water to prevent a greater disaster. Director Charles Friend filmed much of the action on actual Royal Navy corvettes with real sailors as extras, creating documentary-like authenticity that shocked audiences used to glamorized war films. The Admiralty initially tried blocking certain scenes showing officer incompetence until producers revealed they'd toned down what really happened. The studio received over 100 angry letters from veterans' families after the film showed sailors joking about death, until former sailors confirmed this was exactly how they coped with constant terror. Critics praised its brutal honesty, with the New York Times calling it the most authentic portrayal of naval warfare ever filmed. The movie took £215,000 at British box offices, massive money for 1953. The film's most haunting moment shows Erickson silently weeping in his cabin after ordering men to their deaths, a scene that reportedly caused hardened admirals to break down during a private screening. As one veteran later wrote, "They finally showed what we couldn't tell our families." Number 12. Zulu, 1964. 11. Victoria Crosses were awarded after 150 British soldiers held off 4,000 Zulu warriors at Rorke's Drift in 1879. This sweeping epic recreates that impossible stand, with a scale that makes modern green-screen battles look pathetic by comparison. It also launched Michael Caine's career, who nearly blew his big break by getting blind drunk the night before his screen test. Director Cy Endfield faced massive challenges filming in South Africa during apartheid. He defiantly insisted on paying the 700 Zulu extras the same as white actors and credited them by name, almost unheard of at the time. The South African government was so outraged by this equality that they banned the film's premiere in Durban, despite the Zulu king himself appearing in the movie. The battle sequences were so realistic that multiple actors suffered injuries, including Stanley Baker, who was hospitalized after being stabbed with a prop spear. The famous first glimpse of the Zulu army coming over the hillside wasn't staged. The cameras were rolling when the Zulu extras arrived on location, creating genuine shock on the British actors' faces. Critics called it breathtakingly spectacular, while praising its surprisingly respectful portrayal of the Zulu warriors. The film grossed $8 million worldwide against its $2 million budget, becoming one of Britain's most successful exports. Perhaps most remarkable is the film's unexpected anti-colonial perspective. Unlike most imperial adventures, Zulu portrays both sides with dignity and forces viewers to question whether the victory was worth the staggering loss of life on both sides. Number 11. The Dam Busters, 1955. The British military nearly shut down this film before production even started, fearing it would reveal classified technology. In reality, they were just embarrassed. It showed how much of the daring 1943 raid was pure improvisation. The mission to destroy German dams using bouncing bombs remains one of history's most audacious aerial attacks, and this meticulous recreation captures both its ingenuity and terrible cost. Director Michael Anderson insisted on using actual Lancaster bombers instead of models, creating flying sequences so realistic that footage was later spliced into countless other World War II films. The special effects team invented entirely new techniques to show the bouncing bombs, using techniques that influenced Star Wars' Death Star trench run decades later. Richard Todd, who plays Wing Commander Guy Gibson, had actually fought in D-Day and personally met his character during the war. The film's attention to detail extended to rebuilding the scientist Barnes Wallace's workshop exactly as it had been, with Wallace himself frequently visiting the set and breaking down in tears, seeing his wartime work recreated. Critics hailed it as technically flawless, with the Royal Air Force publicly endorsing it as the most accurate depiction of bomber operations ever filmed. It became Britain's highest-grossing film of 1955. The film's legacy is complicated by its uncomfortable portrayal of Gibson's Black Labrador, with a racial slur as its name, which modern broadcasts censor. Yet aviation historians still consider it the definitive RAF film, with George Lucas openly acknowledging its influence on his work. As one Lancaster veteran said, "They got the small details right, the fear before takeoff, the terrible wait to see who would return." Number 10. Hope and Glory, 1987. Director John Boorman transformed his childhood during the London Blitz into cinematic gold, showing World War II entirely through a 9-year-old boy's eyes. For young Bill Rohan, the nightly bombing raids aren't terrifying. They're exciting adventures providing the ultimate playground when school gets destroyed. It's Spielberg's Empire of the Sun from the homefront perspective, with ice cream vans still operating as dogfights rage overhead. Boorman recreated wartime London by building an entire street on the Shepperton Studios backlot, then systematically destroying it throughout filming. The production became notorious when they accidentally set fire to more of the set than planned during the climactic bombing sequence, causing actual panic among the crew. The film's most controversial aspect was its portrayal of wartime infidelity and moral flexibility. British war widows complained about scenes showing women celebrating their new freedom, while veterans objected to children collecting shrapnel as souvenirs. Boorman refused to change a frame, insisting, "This is exactly how it happened." Critics were stunned by its fresh perspective, with Roger Ebert writing it, "Captures a child's eye view of the absurdity and tragedy of war better than any film I've seen." The movie earned 5 Oscar nominations and grossed $10 million against its modest $4 million budget. What makes Hope and Glory truly special is how it finds genuine joy amid devastation. As Boorman himself said, "The war was the best thing that ever happened to me as a child." Suddenly, there was adventure, excitement, and these magnificent playgrounds of bombed buildings. Not your typical war film sentiment. Number 9. The English Patient, 1996. This sweeping romantic epic set against the North African campaign divided British viewers like no other war film. Veterans groups protested its premiere, calling it a betrayal of British courage for portraying a Hungarian count helping Nazi cartographers map the desert. Meanwhile, the British Film Institute called it a transcendent masterpiece and awarded it 5 BAFTAs. Director Anthony Minghella transformed Michael Ondaatje's seemingly unfilmable novel into a haunting meditation on identity and betrayal. Ralph Fiennes spent 3 hours daily in makeup to create his burn-scarred appearance, while the production faced disaster when a flash flood in Tunisia destroyed expensive sets overnight. The film's most controversial scene shows Fiennes carrying Kristen Scott Thomas's corpse from a cave, filmed in a real ancient burial site that locals considered sacred. The crew had to perform purification rituals before and after filming, with several members reporting strange phenomena on set afterward. Critics were overwhelmingly positive, with The Guardian calling it cinema at its most transportingly emotional. The movie earned 9 Academy Awards from 12 nominations and grossed $232 million worldwide against its $27 million budget. Extraordinary for a patient, contemplative war drama. What still resonates is how the film explores the arbitrariness of national identity during wartime. As producer Saul Zaentz noted, "The English Patient isn't English at all. That's the point. War makes refugees of us all, erasing the borders we fight to defend." This profound contradiction makes the film far more complex than most straightforward, heroic war narratives. Number 8. The Imitation Game, 2014. Benedict Cumberbatch brings brilliant mathematician Alan Turing to life in this controversial biopic about breaking the Nazi Enigma code at Bletchley Park. The film sparked heated debate about historical accuracy, with critics accusing it of exaggerating both Turing's social awkwardness and his sole contribution to the code-breaking effort that shortened World War II by years. Director Morton Tealdum fought British intelligence agencies for access to still classified documents, only succeeding when Prince William personally intervened after learning about the project. The production designed a full-scale working replica of the original Bomba decryption machine, which cryptography experts confirmed could actually break Enigma codes. The film's portrayal of Turing's homosexuality and chemical castration by the British government after the war created political shockwaves. 3 months after release, Parliament passed Allen's Law, pardoning thousands of men convicted under historical, anti-gay legislation, cinema literally changing laws. Critics praised Cumberbatch's performance, while historians debated its factual liberties. The New York Times called it a stirring tribute to logical brilliance hampered by emotional blindness, while veteran Bletchley Park cryptographer John Valentine criticized its lone genius narrative that erased the contributions of dozens of women mathematicians. The movie earned $233.5 million globally against its $14 million budget, making it one of the most profitable British war films ever made. Its greatest achievement was bringing Turing's tragedy to public consciousness, a war hero persecuted by the very country he helped save. As historian Andrew Hodges noted, the film simplifies history but captures an essential truth. Sometimes we destroy the very people who save us. Number 7. Atonement, 2007. Joe Wright's devastating adaptation of Ian McEwan's novel uses the chaos of Dunkirk to explore how a child's lie destroys 3 lives against the backdrop of Britain's darkest hour. The film's centerpiece is a staggering 5-minute tracking shot following James McAvoy's character through the beaches at Dunkirk. 1,000 extras, multiple explosions, and no cuts. Cinematographer Seamus McGarvey revealed they had just 1 hour of perfect sunset light to capture the entire sequence. After 3 failed attempts, Wright announced over loudspeakers, "This is the last chance." The entire crew and hundreds of extras delivered the perfect take with seconds of light remaining. Wright created controversy by portraying the British evacuation as partially chaotic and undignified, showing soldiers shooting horses and drunken troops vandalizing French homes. Veterans organizations called these scenes disrespectful fabrications, until historians confirmed such incidents were documented but rarely discussed. Critics praised the film's emotional wallop, with The Telegraph calling it a technical triumph and emotional devastation. It earned 7 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, and grossed $129 million worldwide against its $30 million budget. The film's most shocking element is its twist ending, revealing that the reunion we witness never actually happened. Both lovers died separately during the war, their reconciliation merely fiction, written by the woman whose childhood lie separated them. This narrative gut punch makes Atonement not just a war film, but a meditation on how we use stories to process historical trauma. Number 6. The Bridge on the River Kwai, 1957. David Lean's masterpiece about British POWs building a railway bridge in Burma for their Japanese captors won 7 Oscars and permanently changed how war films balance heroism with moral ambiguity. Alec Guinness delivers a career-defining performance as Colonel Nicholson, whose obsession with proving British superiority through engineering excellence blinds him to the fact he's aiding the enemy. The production was a nightmare of epic proportions. The Sri Lankan government provided 100 actual elephants and 8,000 locals as extras, but the jungle location was so remote that equipment had to be carried in by hand. The massive bridge, built twice at full scale, was the largest film set constructed up to that time. When the original bridge collapsed during construction, killing several local workers, the producers covered up the accident to avoid negative publicity. Controversy erupted when surviving POWs who worked on the actual death railway criticized the film's portrayal of willing cooperation with Japanese officers. Producer Sam Spiegel dismissed these objections, noting, "We're making entertainment, not a documentary," a comment that sparked protests at the London premiere. Critics hailed it as transcendent cinema, with the New York Times calling it the finest prisoner of war picture ever made. The film grossed $30 million against its $3 million budget, astronomical figures for 1957, and inspired dozens of imitators. What makes River Kwai still resonate is its exploration of how military discipline can become self-defeating obsession. As Lean himself explained, it's about how institutions, military, religious, colonial, can make good men do terrible things in the name of duty. The film's ambiguous ending, with Nicholson realizing his folly moments before death, remains one of cinema's most powerful anti-war statements. Number 5. The Great Escape, 1963. This thrilling POW epic, based on a mass breakout from Stalag Luft 3, is technically an American production, but its British director, source material, and predominantly British cast earn it a place here. Steve McQueen's motorcycle chase and Cooler King persona often overshadow the film's deeper examination of how imprisonment affects different men. Director John Sturges fought studio heads who wanted to replace British actors with Americans, arguing historical accuracy demanded a primarily Commonwealth cast. The production built a full-scale replica of the German camp in Bavaria, with former prisoners serving as technical advisors, some becoming emotional seeing their captivity recreated. The famous motorcycle jump scene, where McQueen's character attempts to jump a barbed wire fence, created decades of controversy. While stunt rider Bud Ekins performed the actual jump, McQueen insisted on doing all the lead-up riding himself, much to the studio's horror. After McQueen crashed during rehearsals, insurance companies threatened to shut down production if he didn't use doubles for all motorcycle scenes. Critics praised its taut direction and stellar ensemble cast, with the British press particularly appreciative of its relatively accurate portrayal of the real escape. The film earned $11.7 million at the box office, becoming one of United Artists' biggest hits. What many viewers don't realize is how significantly the film downplays the tragedy of the real Great Escape. In reality, the Gestapo executed 50 of the 76 recaptured officers, a brutality the film acknowledges but softens considerably. As survivor Jimmy James later said, "The film got the feel right, the camaraderie right, but couldn't show how utterly devastating those executions were to camp morale." Number 4. Lawrence of Arabia, 1962. David Lean's 4-hour desert epic about T.E. Lawrence's campaigns during the Arab Revolt features not a single female speaking role yet, remains the most visually stunning war film ever made. Peter O'Toole, in his breakthrough role, portrays Lawrence as a complex, sexually ambiguous figure whose brilliance is matched only by his capacity for cruelty. The production was legendarily difficult. Filming in Jordan, Morocco, and Spain required 1,000 crew members, 750 camels, and dealing with temperatures that melted camera equipment when the crew ran out of water in the desert. The Jordanian army had to airlift emergency supplies. O'Toole nearly died during a stunt when he fell off a camel at high speed, and was later almost shot when a nervous Bedouin extra fired live ammunition instead of blanks. The film's portrayal of Lawrence's alleged homosexuality and masochism caused the British government to disavow it, despite Lawrence's family praising its psychological truth. British military historians attacked scenes showing Lawrence executing a man to prevent tribal conflict, until Lawrence's diaries confirmed such an incident had occurred. Critics were overwhelmed by its visual grandeur, with Pauline Kael calling it a thinking person's epic. The film won 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and grossed $44.9 million against its $15 million budget. Most remarkable is how the film balances Lawrence's military genius with his psychological breakdown as the war progresses. As historian Michael Korda noted, Lean captures something essential about colonial warfare, how it corrupts even its heroes. Omar Sharif's entrance, appearing as a mirage on the desert horizon, remains one of cinema's most perfect shots. Number 3. Dunkirk, 2017. Christopher Nolan's innovative war film about the 1940 evacuation uses three intersecting timelines to create what veterans called the closest thing to being there without actually being shot at. Telling the story from land, sea, and air, Nolan creates a disorienting, immersive nightmare that avoids traditional war movie cliches entirely. Nolan's commitment to practical effects reached obsessive levels. He purchased actual World War II Spitfires rather than using CGI planes, had cinematographer Hoyte van Hoytema hand-carry IMAX cameras into cockpits, and floated real vintage ships with 1,500 extras for the beach scenes. One $1 million vintage boat actually sank during filming, causing a near disaster when actors were trapped below deck. Veterans of the actual evacuation were divided in their reactions. Some praised the film's claustrophobic atmosphere and constant dread, while others complained it underrepresented the British Expeditionary Force's rearguard actions that made the evacuation possible. Historians noted the beaches shown were far less crowded than the real Dunkirk, where over 400,000 men stood shoulder to shoulder. Critics hailed it as a masterpiece of tension, with The Guardian calling it a knockout blow of pure cinema. The film grossed $527 million worldwide, against its $150 million budget, received 8 Academy Award nominations. What makes Dunkirk revolutionary is its near-total lack of dialogue and character development. As Nolan explained, in disaster, you don't get to know people's backstories. You just try to survive alongside them. This abstract approach makes the film less about individual heroism and more about collective endurance, a distinctly British interpretation of what could have been Britain's final military catastrophe. Number 2. 2019, Sam Mendes took his grandfather's WWI stories and transformed them into a technical marvel that appears to unfold in 2 continuous shots. The film follows 2 British soldiers on a desperate mission across no man's land to prevent 1,600 men from walking into a German trap. Roger Deakins' cinematography creates the sensation of being a third soldier on this harrowing journey. The production built over a mile of trenches across multiple counties in England, with each location meticulously measured to ensure the camera could move seamlessly between them. Actors rehearsed for 6 months before filming began, with George Mackay and Dean Charles Chapman walking the entire route hundreds of times to perfect their movements. During one take, Mackay accidentally collided with an extra, got knocked down, but continued the scene. This unplanned moment made the final cut. Military historians praised the film's accuracy while noting certain dramatic licenses. The idea of sending just 2 men on such a crucial mission struck some as implausible, though Mendes insisted this aspect came directly from his grandfather's experience. Critics were stunned by its technical achievements, with Time magazine calling it a staggering piece of filmmaking that needs to be seen on the biggest screen possible. The film grossed $384.9 million worldwide, against its $100 million budget, and won 3 Academy Awards. What elevates 1917 beyond mere technical showmanship is how it captures the mundane horror of trench warfare, the casual way soldiers navigate past decomposing bodies, the sudden violence erupting from serene landscapes. As one WWI historian noted, the film shows how soldiers normalized the abnormal to survive. The cherry orchard sequence, where beauty and destruction exist side by side, encapsulates the film's power to find poetry in warfare's most devastating moments. Number 1. Darkest Hour, 2017. Gary Oldman disappears completely into Winston Churchill in this electrifying drama about the 3 crucial weeks in May 1940, when Britain stood alone against Nazi Germany. Director Joe Wright focuses not on battlefield heroics, but on the political battles Churchill fought with his own war cabinet, who seriously considered negotiating peace with Hitler as German tanks rolled through France. The transformation of Oldman required 4 hours of prosthetic application daily and cost $20,000 per day. He consumed so many cigars during filming that he developed nicotine poisoning requiring medical intervention. The famous "We shall fight on the beaches" speech was delivered to an empty Parliament chamber. The actual MPs were busy evacuating British forces from Dunkirk at the time. The film's most controversial scene, Churchill riding the London Underground to gauge public opinion, was entirely fictional, creating heated debate among historians. Screenwriter Anthony McCartan defended the invention as emotional truth, if not literal truth, while Churchill biographers condemned it as unnecessary fabrication that undermines an otherwise meticulous film. Critics praised Oldman's towering performance, with Empire calling it a masterclass in acting that transcends mere impersonation. The film grossed $150.8 million against its $30 million budget and earned Oldman his first Oscar after decades. In the industry, what makes Darkest Hour the definitive British war film is how it shows that words themselves can be weapons. As historian John Lukács observed, Churchill didn't just rally the British people, he literally talked Hitler into defeat. The film reveals that Britain's greatest World War II victory wasn't won on battlefields, but in cabinet rooms and radio studios, where Churchill's rhetoric transformed potential surrender into defiant resistance. From Churchill's words to Dunkirk's beaches, from desert campaigns to secret code-breaking, British war cinema captures something uniquely powerful about humanity under fire. Which of these films struck you most powerfully? Did we miss your favorite British war classic? The real question worth debating: do these meticulously crafted British films reveal more truth about war than the big-budget American spectacles that dominate global box office? Drop your thoughts below and let the battle begin.